this NFC matchup though first. This was a game that I had the Rams -3 on, and the Rams were dominating the whole game. And then Matthew Stafford essentially decides to throw the ball on third down and nowhere, give the Seahawks a chance. Sam Darnold, for the first time all day, is able to basically complete a pass because he returned to the Sam Darnold that we knew with the Jets and the Panthers, throwing 4 interceptions very early in that game. And yet you look up, and I think the story of this game is, yeah, Sam Darnold for 4 interceptions. Look at that Rams point total down there on our topic bar. They only have 21 points, and 2 touchdowns came in basically at the 10-yard line because of Darnold interceptions. So Seattle's defense did their job. Their offense did not come to play, or Seattle very well could have gone in here and won this game, which was only their second loss ever for Mike Macdonald as a road head coach.
Yes, it does seem like the Rams defense is the kryptonite for Sam Darnold, because if you remember, when he was with the Vikings, he struggled against the Rams in the wild card round.
Well, he also struggled against the Lions the previous week. I mean, as I brought up a couple weeks ago, this was my one fear about Seattle. They can beat anybody, but is Sam Darnold going to turn back into a pumpkin?
And I don't think he's turning back into a pumpkin. I still trust him to make the plays. He could have very easily just shut down after those 4 interceptions, but he didn't.
That's a good point. I'll give you that.
He stayed in it. And did you hear? I think it was Ernest Jones from the Seahawks. He was very defensive, no pun intended, because he plays on the defense for Seattle. But he's like, we could have made some plays out there. He was defending Sam Darnold hard. Did you hear about this?
I did not, but I think that's a good sign for Seattle as a football team moving forward. I am shocked by the way Seattle's defense, for the most part, shut down the Rams offense.
Yes. And the only reason the Rams do not hold the number 1 seed in the NFC right now is because of that. I think it was week 3 loss to the Eagles.
It was, and they controlled the whole game, and Jalen Hurts, the offense, came back in the second half. And the crazy thing about it, Josh, guess whose first-round pick the Los Angeles Rams have in next year's draft? Because some team decided to take some edge rusher named James Pierce out of Tennessee, who has not been productive, and that team's quarterback is now on his 3rd knee injury in 2 seasons, and they basically bet the farm on this guy, and that obviously is the Atlanta Falcons.
Yes, I would not be surprised if Raheem Morris is fired after this season. And
I would agree. I mean, it's his second time as an NFL head coach. He failed in Tampa Bay.
Yeah. I will say this, though. If the Cleveland Browns decide to move on from Kevin Stefanski, one of the guys I would interview would be Raheem Morris.
All right. But I don't want to get off topic. Let's get back to the original topic at hand. What Mike Macdonald has done with Seattle, and again, I'm going to say for the second time, this may be the first ever time in the history of championship rings that I am acknowledging, like my tribal chief, that Josh Ungar was correct over me, because Josh Ungar, I don't remember, to be honest with you, if you picked Seattle to be a playoff team, but I know you said that they were going to be close, 9, 10-ish wins.
I think right around 10 wins, but they were just going to miss the playoffs.
And I said, I don't know, because I don't think Sam Darnold's going to work out in Seattle with this weather, and I don't know if Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to be a number 1 receiver, and he may be a top 5 wide receiver in the National Football League right now today. And they still really can't run the ball. Like, Kenneth Walker's had an okay year. Charbonnet's got most of the goal line work. He's been productive. But I wouldn't say that they have an explosive run game. And their defense, we just put it out there, the only name that's really a dominant force in that defense is Leonard Williams. And Mike Macdonald is doing what he did in Baltimore without
Don't they also have either Dexter Lawrence or
Well,
DeMarcus?
no, you're right. DeMarcus Lawrence, and I keep forgetting about that. He came over from Dallas, even though he made 2 big fumble plays last week against Arizona in that game that was over in 5 minutes.
I also like their cornerbacks, Devon Weatherspoon.
And Warren. I think you were higher than them than I was. Oh, those guys have played, I think, decent this year. But that Seattle pass rush has been getting after the quarterback all season long, and they made Stafford uncomfortable on Sunday.
What scares me about the Rams, though, is, and you mentioned this with Seattle, I don't feel like the Rams have an effective running game either.
I think it's more effective than Seattle. I think Kyron Williams has had an underrated year. I think they're using Blake Corum well. I agree. I think they need to be more consistent with it. Because I think when they use those 13 personnel packages with 3 tight ends, they've been very effective. And Sunday they went back to the 11 personnel with 3 wide receivers out on the field for most of the game. And Puka Nacua is going to get his numbers, and Devontae Adams is going to get his. But if you make Matthew Stafford wait in the pocket for that extra half a second, he's not as effective. That is the key to stopping the Rams offense.
By the way, as much as I think the blue and yellow works for the Rams, those jerseys they were wearing on Sunday were so much better.
So I couldn't figure it out. Was that their rivalry jerseys? Because I've never seen those before. They were like the black, and then they had the old school yellow top.
It looked so good. I think those jerseys were called like Midnight Mode or something.
Okay.
I'd like to see the Rams use those as their primary jerseys. I really would.
So these two teams meet up. I know it's week 16 or week 17. I think it's week 16 on a Thursday night in Seattle. In my opinion, and I know the Niners are still in the mix, but we'll see because there's a lot of good teams in the NFC. But that will probably be for the division.
Oh, I would agree. And I know Philadelphia is still very much in the mix, but that game could be for the number 1 seed.
Very well could be. Well, speaking of my Eagles, I got to tell the championship rings audience real quick. Friend of the show, Jalen Sampik, Detroit Lions fan. We all love Jalen. Someone was not very happy with me Sunday night. Let's just say that after the result, after we made his quarterback, Jared Goff, see ghosts, because that was the greatest defensive performance I've ever seen as an Eagles fan.
How does Howie Roseman keep getting away with this?
That was better than the Super Bowl. I mean, and remember
going has come over from the Miami Dolphins, and he has worked perfectly for you guys.
Well, and remember coming into the year, I think your one concern with this team was they lost Josh Sweat, they lost Darius Slay, they lost Milton Williams. They lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson. How are they going to replace all these defensive pieces? Well, it might take a half a year. We might need to make a trade here and there. But all of a sudden, this defense that has 6 or 7 Georgia guys on it that were a part of that back-to-back national championship Georgia team, because during the Sunday Night Football intro, pretty much every defensive player said their college was from the University of Georgia. They're flying around. Quinyon Mitchell is playing like one of the best corners in the NFL, which has helped. He has shadowed the best receivers in the league. He took Amon-Ra St. Brown out of the game. And outside of a couple of Jameson Williams deep crossing routes over the middle in the second quarter, the Lions offense could not do anything.
No, they really couldn't. And I know everybody's making a big deal about the pass interference call late in the game. I don't think, could the Lions have scored on that? Maybe. We don't know.
Okay, good. I'm glad you brought that up because, again, a certain Detroit Lions fan was begging for that call and saying that the Lions would have came back and forced overtime and that the Eagles get away with all these calls. The brotherly shove is cheating and all of this, and I've heard all the discussion. Josh, I'm here to tell you this right now. I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know whether to feel angry about it or proud about it, but my Eagles have reached Chiefs territory. Uh,
Yeah.
Everybody hates us. Oh, we can't do this. Oh, they get all the glory. Oh, Jalen Hurts can't do this. He can't do that. Oh, well, you know what? We just won the Super Bowl and we're favored to do it again. I'm not saying we're going to do it again, but it's unbelievable to me how fast America turns on this football team in 2 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have any hatred for the Eagles. Like I said, do I think that play action or the pass interference call what would have decided the game? No.
By the way, I'm also telling you on the same play, they missed a holding call, Brian Branch on Dallas Goedert. Branch was like this on Dallas Goedert. They didn't even call it. Meanwhile, everybody's focused on A.J. Brown and Chris Collinsworth, who was absolutely in love with my defense all season long, is screaming from the booth about the pass interference call.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy what's going on, but especially with AJ Brown.
And by the way, they got AJ Brown the ball.
Yeah, I know. But the fact that over the last 2 weeks, you guys have only scored a combined 26 points.
And guess what? Our offense can play 10 times better, and we're still winning games. That's what I'm trying to tell you people.
Oh, I know.
Now, the one worry I do have, honestly to God, I hope Wayne Johnson can get back for the playoffs, because this team will go in the playoffs as far as healthy as the offensive line is, which I think has contributed to, and I talked about this, I think one of the reasons why the offense has struggled is because Cam Jurgens has been in and out of the lineup. We saw it even on Sunday night. Brett Toth had to come in. And by the way, for all you people that want to ban the brotherly shove, guess who stopped it 3 times on Sunday night? The Detroit Lions.
Yes, they did.
One of the reasons why Nick Sirianni decided to go for it on 4th and inches, which I was totally for, by the way, I didn't really understand why everybody in the booth made a big deal about it. I know our defense was playing great, but I thought, oh, well, we could get this with 2 brotherly shoves at best. No, we can't. We went backwards both times.
My bigger issue was, I know the wind was a factor, but Dan Campbell, why are you going for it 5 times?
Well, you can tell, especially in the first half, the way the ball was coming out of both Jalen Hurts and Jared Goff's hands, I said, uh-oh, we better win the line of scrimmage or we're not going to win this game, because I don't think either quarterback is going to have a good day passing the ball. And again, I thought Jalen Hurts played, honest to God, a D game. And I still felt like there was opportunities to be had on the board. And to me, it just shows that, again, there's going to be ugly games. Jalen Hurts didn't play well at the end of the last regular season. He really didn't play well against the Rams game in that divisional round in the second half. But they found a way to win thanks to a defensive stop. And then Jalen Hurts played what he always does in big championship games, which is he plays well.
Yes, you are 100% right there. But everybody's making a big...
By the way, did you hear about this baloney that's coming out now? That these reporters are now there's another week in the Philadelphia locker room that some people inside the Eagles organization may want to make a change at quarterback.
That I haven't heard.
There is no short of drama for this football team. When the hell am I going to wake up on a morning trying to enjoy the fact that for at least 2 more months I still can rest on my Super Bowl morals, and I'm reading, oh, A.J. Brown's going to get traded. Oh, they may want to make a change at quarterback. They're very unhappy that Jalen Hurts is taking this conservative approach against zone defenses. What kind of baloney is being fed in this organization?
I don't know. But I want to focus more on the Lions side in this case, because, against the Commanders, we all praised Dan Campbell for his play calling, and then that game happened.
And I said at the time, I said, I don't like it when the head coach takes play calling away from the coordinator. I think it's different when the head coach says, okay, coordinator, you go call the plays now. I think when the head coach takes the play calling back, it shows there's an issue in the building. And I know John Morton's out here saying, oh, it's no big deal. I've been the right-hand man to Sean Payton. But there's got to be a sense of pride in there when you were hired to replace Ben Johnson, who Dan Campbell had never, ever thought of giving play calling up. And then all of a sudden, 8 games into the year, because they lost 3 games, Dan Campbell decides, I got to take the play calling back.
Yeah. And the Lions defense, they're holding up their end of the bargain, but their offense, not so much. It's almost like these two teams are mirroring each other.
Well, both of them promoted offensive coordinators from within. And at this point, both of them have not worked. Now, I do think Patullo, again, there are some games I've really liked what he's done. It's just he doesn't have a great feel yet for how to adjust in the second half. And maybe it's just a first-time play caller thing. I don't know. The other thing is Jalen Hurts hasn't had the same play caller in back-to-back years for a decade outside of Shane Steichen from 1 year. So maybe we just keep the same play caller for 2 years in a row, please.
I don't imagine teams are going to be knocking on the door wanting Kevin Patullo to be their head coach.
I mean, here's the thing. Kellen Moore only got one opportunity. It was the Saints. I didn't think Kellen Moore was going to be a head coaching commodity again after what we saw with the Chargers as an OC at the end of his Dallas tenure. All it takes is a desperate team, like, say, I don't know, the Giants, the Titans. If we win the Super Bowl again, do you think one of those teams would be like, yeah, let's just get their offensive coordinator?
Yeah, that would be bizarre.
I mean, like the Saints pretty much said, oh my God, the Eagles are in the Super Bowl. Let's go hire Kellen Moore.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't want to get Vic Fangio.
Well, I mean, Vic Fangio's on the record now basically saying that he doesn't want to be a head coach again. Shout out to that guy, by the way, for what he's done with this defense. That's the best Eagles defense I've seen since Jim Johnson. I know we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but potential Spitgate 2.0 is coming up this week in Dallas, which I'm surprised no one has brought up yet.
Well, because you already had a Spitgate in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Jamar Chase, what are we doing? That's all I got to say on that.
Yeah, I don't want to say any more on that.
All right, let's get to the Chicago Bears, because this was one of my teams to make the playoffs this year.
I think we both had the Bears making the playoffs.
I think we both did as the 7th seed. And now, I mean, could they be the 3 seed? They currently are right now. They're in position to win the NFC North. And again, we could say all we want about, oh my God, they lost the lead and it took a kickoff return and they're winning all these games with the buzzer and they almost lost to the Giants. Again, so what? The Bears haven't won anything in our lives outside of that one random year with Matt Nagy where they went 12 wins with Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah. And how did that season end? Oh, yeah, double doink.
Yeah. And obviously Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson are a big upgrade of coach and quarterback. And to me, the Bears defense has gotten better as the season goes on. Now, I think Sunday, I don't know what the hell happened to J.J. McCarthy because he looked like he didn't belong on an NFL field on Sunday. He was missing guys wide open left and right, so I will give you that. But that was a very impressive win for the Bears to go on the road against a defensive coordinator, Brian Flores, who you always know brings those exotic pressures. And even the Vikings, who came back against the Bears in week 1 in Chicago. For them to mostly dominate that game, to me, was impressive.
Yeah. And, they're using their offensive weapons. You got DJ Moore on the outside. You got DeAndre Swift at running back. You got Colston Loveland at tight end. Caleb Williams is finding these guys.
Not only him, but they're starting to get Luther Burden more involved. Obviously, Roman Dunze, Cole Kmet a little bit as well. They got that other running back right behind Swift. They've been rotating in. I've said, if I'm the Bears this offseason, I think I told you this a few weeks ago, the first thing I'm doing actually is trading DJ Moore. Because They don't get him the ball. It's a very similar situation in Philly with AJ Brown, except for Philly obviously tries to get AJ Brown the ball, and I think AJ Brown's more talented than DJ Moore. Like, I think you can move off DJ Moore and you can get yourself a defensive lineman. You can get yourself another corner outside of Jalen Johnson, because that's what they need, because Roma Dunze is turning into that number one receiver. And it's not like in Philly where they just have, AJ Devontae, and that's mostly it. Luther Burton's a really good receiver. Adunze is a very good receiver. Komet's very good tight end. Loveland's a very good tight end. I don't know how many more receivers they need.
And I think they do need to improve their defense because they're getting just enough from their defense. But
and Dennis Allen, I think in year two under that defense, he's been a very bad head coach, but he's been a very good defensive coordinator. Would I at this point be shocked if the Bears won the NFC North? And my answer to that would be no.
No, I wouldn't be either. But I'm not just going to dismiss Detroit or Green Bay like that. No way.
No, and Green Bay's weird. Like, I don't know what to make of Green Bay.
Yes, and you and I were both extremely high on the Packers.
We both had them in the Super Bowl. You had them winning. I had them losing. I had Jordan Love as the MVP of the week. And let me tell you, out of the 10 possible candidates for MVP, Jordan Love ain't one of them.
No. Like, he got injured and had to come back.
It was the week of quarterbacks getting injured and coming back. Malik Willis had to come in. Bryce Young had to lead the game for a couple of minutes, and Andy Dalton had to come in.
Yeah, but, Caleb finally has a head coach, because him and Matt Eberflus, that wasn't working.
And by the way, they started 0-2. And remember, I remember we did a topic on this show when they got blown out by the Lions in week 2. We said, is this Caleb Williams-Ben Johnson marriage going to last? And here we are 9 weeks later, and they're in first place in the division.
That's right. And like I said, their defense is doing just enough. Their offense is doing just enough. They're not world beaters or anything like that. I think they would probably make it to the divisional round, but that's about it.
It depends on who they play, because I think the NFC is loaded. And we talked about this a little last week. As good as the Panthers are, I don't think they're a playoff team this year, unless
I do.
Well, let me ask you this. Who are they replacing?
They're nipping at the heels of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
But again, to me, that's their only path to get in, is to win the division, because I don't think they can overtake Green Bay. I don't think they can overtake San Francisco. I don't think at this point they're overtaking Chicago.
Hold on. Because on Monday Night Football,
I know,
the Carolina Panthers take on those San Francisco 49ers. So that's a very important game.
We might as well get into this discussion now. Who is the favorite in the NFC? Because I look at it and I think there's 8 playoff teams for 7 spots. Philly, Rams, Seattle, obviously, Green Bay, Detroit, Chicago, Tampa. One of those teams is not going to make it.
I'm not excluding Carolina. I think the Panthers are in the mix.
Again, I think, well, one, I think they have to win at San Francisco, which I think they can, but I don't know if they will. And so for me, if they don't win that game, their only path to get in is through the division. And I don't know, they'd have to beat Tampa twice.
Yes, and Tampa and Carolina played twice in the last 3 weeks of the season.
I mean, again, I don't want to think too far ahead, but I know me and you love to do this. So I'm just going to throw this out there. Week 18 is, I believe, Bucks Panthers.
In Tampa, I believe.
Okay, it's in Tampa. And I know it's Ravens Steelers in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Those are your 2 candidates right now to be getting the last game of the season on Sunday Night Football.
Yes. We shall see if they flex that first Steelers-Ravens game in Baltimore into Sunday Night Football. They might be more inclined to do the Panthers-Buccaneers game.
Yeah,
Although,
either or.
yeah, Seattle, San Francisco in San Francisco could also be the game that gets flexed. We'll have to see how San Francisco is and where they are in the mix.
And that's the thing. I mean, they dominated Arizona this past week. That game wasn't even close. Arizona looks like they quit.
They really do. But in terms of who's the favorite, I know the Eagles beat the Rams, but right now I gotta say it's the Rams. Because I do like how Matt Stafford is playing with Puka, with Devontae. They're running the ball well. Like I said earlier, I'd like to see them use Kyren Williams and Blake Corum more so to set up the passing game. And then you got on the other side Jared Verse, who is causing problems defensively. Byron Young. They played a fantastic defensive scheme against Sam Darnold, just blitzing him and giving him different looks. They basically turned one of Sam Darnold's strengths into a weakness in that game.
To be the champs, you got to beat the champs. And I think my team should still be the favorite right now because of what my defense just put on tape the last 2 weeks against two perennial NFC contenders in the Packers and the Lions, holding them to a combined, what was that, 7 and 9, 16 points combined. Obviously, 6 points total in the first half because Green Bay did not score in the first half of that Monday Night Football game. And if there is one team that I'm scared of with the Eagles, that question will be answered based off home field advantage. Because if the game is in Tampa and they're healthy with Mike Evans, I'm most scared of the Bucs because we've already shown the ability we can go down and win in LA more so than we've shown the ability to go down and win in Tampa. But I think Baker and those boys would struggle if they had to come to Philly. Overall, the team that I think matches up best against the Eagles are the Rams. And the one thing the Rams are missing, which I am surprised a little bit, they did not go out and at least try to explore this at the trade deadline, is a defensive back or a safety who is big enough to go one-on-one with A.J. Brown. Because A.J. Brown's two biggest games in the last 2 seasons have both come against the Rams because they don't really have anybody that can guard him and Devontae Smith.
Yeah, and Saquon basically went wild against the Rams, if you remember, in that Sunday night game last year.
In both games last year he did. He had, I believe, 2 60-yard, or no, he had 4 60-yard touchdown runs in the 2 games last year. And I will say this, watching that game Sunday night, I know Saquon has not had the season he had last year. That was to be expected. But you watch some of the things the Eagles have been doing, the pulling traps they started to do again. Saquon looks like he's about ready to bounce one. I think in the next couple of weeks here, he's going to have a long touchdown run.
You better hope Seattle does not get home field advantage because
I know you already know I will be scared to death if we have to go to my house of horrors. That is my biggest fear. I honestly think my biggest obstacle to getting to the Super Bowl is having to play an NFC Championship game at Lumen Field.
Yeah, and if Sam Darnold is able to guide the Seahawks to the NFC Championship, good Lord.
I mean, the NFC, the top of it, what San Francisco has done with all of their injuries, I keep waiting for them to fall off the face of the earth. They haven't done so yet. Green Bay is inconsistent as heck. Josh Jacobs went down, but you still feel like they're the Packers. You got to respect them. That Packers-Lions game now on Thanksgiving next week for both teams all of a sudden is huge. If Green Bay ends up going to Detroit and sweeping the Lions this year, could the Lions end up being the 2 seed and having to go play their former quarterback in Stafford potentially in the first round in LA?
Well, if the Packers sweep the Lions wouldn't be the 2 seed.
No, I'm saying the Lions could fall all the way to 7, and they then could go to the Rams, who could be the 2.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Because you said, could the Lions be the 2 seed?
No, I thought I said, could they fall? I'm sorry if I misspoke. Could they fall out of second in their division? Could they go down to third? And then they could be the 7th seed.
Yeah, they very much could. Because they're inconsistent with their offense. Like, there's no team in the NFL, AFC or NFC, where you're like, yeah, that's clearly the best team.
And that all of a sudden for the NFC North and for San Francisco and even the Rams, you don't want to end up having to be the 6th or the 7th seed and facing off against Seattle in the first round in Seattle.
No, I do feel like the Rams are the most complete team in the NFL right now. I would have them number 1 in my power rankings. In fact, I do. But do I feel like if they played the Eagles again, that I would for sure pick them? No. Do I feel like if they played, I don't know, the Patriots, would I for sure pick the Rams? I don't know.
You know what that conversation sounds like to me? It sounds like the 2024 Detroit Lions, where everybody said, oh my God, they're the number 1 team. They won 15 games, but you're like, yeah, but maybe the best roster in the week is Philly.
Yeah.
So, that NFC now, like Philly's got Dallas this week, and don't sleep on this game because the Cowboys always play Philly tough. We know about the incident week 1 with Jalen Carter and Dak Prescott. We know Dak Prescott always plays well against the Eagles. I mean, that's a must-win game for both teams, if you ask me.
Yeah, I would agree. And especially because, well, yes, it was against the Raiders, but the Cowboys defensively put on a clinic.
Yeah, Ashton Genty only had 6 yards rushing. I never thought I'd see that day.
No. And Dak Prescott has absolutely found the rhythm with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. If the Cowboys offense is clicking the way it has been, that could spell trouble for your Eagles.
Josh, you had the Cowboys going 4-13 this year. They're 4-5-1 right now.
Yes, I know.